1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2. Start the fill right on the first beat of that measure. So you're going to play 2 full measures, and then learn to recall a different fill every time. So this is quite a project on your part. You might just stop the video right along in here and really work on this part, because what you're after is the recall and learning the timing, and this is what it's all about, playing something very simple. And these fills aren't all that hard, but recalling a different phrase and putting them at exactly the right time is not that easy, and that's where a lot of players fall down, and they have just a very limited repertoire of things to recall from. They may have 1 or 2 licks, and maybe the licks they have are all on just 1 fret or so. These fills go all over, don't they? They're all up and down the fretboard, and you've learned the basic fundamentals of the scale and the scale patterns. So this is a good project to spend some time at. Try to get it where you can play Blues Stay Away From Me and play a different fill and play all 10 of these phrases, maybe 1 in a row, one after the other, and never repeat yourself. So this is the place to stop and get serious about your own playing. This is something I can't do for you. And the recall is different for everyone. You have to really work at learning to hear that phrase ahead of time and recalling a different one every time. So take a little time now, and it's your turn. Okay, cue up your track number 2, which is the A chord vamp. We're going to learn to transpose these things, because it's no good just to know these phrases as just the G chord. You want to be able to pull these G phrases out anytime you need them. If they might be a C chord, or they might be against a D. Again, these are major chords, so we're going to be particular about where we put them and how we play them. But in this case, we're just learning to transpose. So we learned them all in the key of G and the chord of G. We want to play them in A, and I'm going to make it easy. All you have to do is move everything up 2 frets. And again, let's recall them and do them just like we did in the last exercise, where we play number 1, number 2, 3, and 4, and just move each one of them up 2 frets, and again, find an A chord. So we've got A's on the 5th fret with no pedal. We've got an A up on 8 with the A pedal, but again, be careful what strings. Could be the 3rd and 5th, or 5 and 6. Again, up on 12 with both pedals down, and maybe way up here on 17. So that kind of sets you up, doesn't it, and tells you where these phrases are going to be. So transposing a lot of times is not easy, but you've got to learn to see that it's a pattern, and it's easy to do. So let's go with track number 2, the A vamp, and we'll take the phrases right in order, just as they come.
1, 2,
Chords first.
3, 4.
12 pedals. And the chord, first fill. Nice and slow, easy to do. Chords. Phrase number 2. A lot of vibrato time here. Going to go all the way to 17. Phrase number 3. Pretty feel that slow. Nice chord. Phrase number 4. Back to the top, first fill. A couple of times through will do it. That track is much longer, so it gives you a lot more time to work with it. It goes through there 4 or 5 times. So you've got a lot of time to play and practice the transposing. There again, we're trying to recall and leave the first 2 measures each time in a blank, because this is where our singer is going to be. Better practice these up, because that's where we're going right now, is learn to play these things behind the singer. As you can see, this tune is in a different key. We're in the key of A. So this is learning to transpose our phrases and the way we're thinking them. They'll all be major chord phrases, though. As you can see, when it gets into the D, this is the 4 chord, and we'll be playing the A major behind Bob Browning, who's singing the actual melody here. Here's where the fill will be, but we'll be playing a D major phrase. So what we're going to have to do is transpose the major chord phrases that we did in the key of G, where you'll have to transpose them. So pick whatever you're going to do and learn to play the major chord phrase as a D, and then we'll come back and we'll play an E 7th or an E chord right here, and then you'll have to transpose one of the G chords phrases, the major phrases, all majors of course. Just move a G phrase up 2 frets. But this exercise is about learning to transpose, isn't it? So you can take the same phrases, but you have to see how they started, what was the root position for each one of those phrases, and we learn how to transpose it and play it in another place. That's all. Obviously, it just makes a pattern, so that makes this easy. Okay, let's listen to the intro, and the intro will come right in. Obviously, the intro is always the last line. So if you want to, you can play a little E 7th phrase on the end, and then a little A major chord phrase. But the E 7th is the 5 chord in this case, so if you're playing chords, it would be better if you actually played an E 7th chord rather than an E major. Okay, let's listen to the track.
1, 2.
Comes in on the last line.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And go. And back to the A phrase. Here's Bob. Chord. Here's the phrase. A G major phrase. Chord. And phrase. Start right on the first of the measure, of course.
Your hand in mine.
And phrase.
And
Chord.
make the sun shine.
And the phrase. And we'll repeat back to the top.
I followed you down so many.
And start your phrase. And the
While
chord.
you picked wildflowers, I sang you soft, sad
Start your phrase in A. And the chord.
and every road you took, I know
And start the phrase.
was for the truth.
And the
And
chord.
the cloud that's doing now won't last for
Start the phrase. You could leave the chords out, not play anything right here.
Storms never last.
Don't play, and
Do
start
they,
now.
baby?
Now you can get all the way out.
Bad
Don't play anything.
times all past.
Now start the phrase right on the first beat. And let it linger over.
Your hand in
Don't
mine
play anything, it's quite acceptable.
stills the
Start.
thunder,
There's your phrase.
and you
Let it ring
make
through.
the sun
Don't play.
shine
Start the phrase. And it'll last 8 beats. And we'll repeat.
Storms never last, do they, baby?
Any of the phrases that are major chords.
Bad times all pass with a wind. Your hand in mine stills the
Start.
thunder, and you make the sun shine.
And go.
And
Last line is the tag.
make the sun shine.
And play a major chord phrase and end it. This is a good tune to learn to transpose to. The tempo is nice and the overall feel of the song is rather nice. A good way to practice up all your major chord fills and learning how to recognize them in other places. Looking at the chord chart for Storms Never Last, we need to think about one thing here. We want to transport the major chord phrase up to D. So we're playing along in A, and Bob Browning is singing there. And then the actual phrase we want to play is a D phrase, and it's a major chord phrase. So all we want to do is be able to transport maybe that first phrase, which might be an A, as the primary chord phrase, the primary number 1. It just ends up being right on 5 with the pedals down because that's a D. The same phrase, that's primary phrase number 1 in D, so it's be on the 5th fret. And then in the second line of Storms Never Last, it goes to E. Well, we don't really have to play in there, but we could play an E chord, or we could play an E7th. It doesn't matter, but an E chord will do fine. Better not to play anything, since we're just working on our fills. Then you'll see in the second line at the end, we've got a major chord phrase for A. Well, we might play the primary phrase number 2, which was, and it'll be right there on the 5th fret because that's where A is with no pedals. And primary phrase number 2 becomes the no pedal position. Then it goes to the third line and we're still in A. And then we've got in the third line at the end, this is where we want to play our phrase. So we can, let's transpose the primary phrase number 3, if we can think of it, in the chord of D. It was originally off of 15 as a G, so we want to play it as a D. It'll be off of 10 because that's where D is with no pedals. And the D phrase will be, and it'll end up down on 5 with the pedals down. So that the transposing part is a lot of fun. It takes a lot of thinking, doesn't it, to do it? But that's what this is all about, learning to take these phrases. The D phrase is off of the D chords. That's the primary number 3, which was originally off of 15 and 10 with the pedals because that was G. And then we can come back and we'll play the whole thing along, and all we're doing is transposing the major chord phrases 1, 2, 3, and 4. Of course, as you get better, you want to take some of the others and learn to transpose them too. Whatever, let's go ahead and do the little introduction for this thing. Might be something easy too, since the last line goes to an E, a couple of measures, and we've got an introduction. We could take one of the primary 7th phrases. That was for D7th. Let's just move it up 2 frets. Let's take number 3. That's kind of a nice sound, which goes. That could be this intro here. So when it comes right in on the count, play primary phrase of the D7th up 2 frets, which makes it E7. So start on 15, 17, 17 with the pedals, way up there to 19, Boy, we're calling dogs and breaking glass up there, aren't we? And that could be the introduction. And then we'll just play this thing right along with the track, and we're just going to transpose all primary phrase 1, 2, 3, and 4, because that's all the fills are. They're in the 1 and the 4. There are no 7th chord fills. Here we go.
1,
The intro
2,
is a 7th.
1, 2,
E 7th.
4.
An A chord.
Storms
Another A
never
chord.
last.
The D fill.
Do they, baby?
Lots of time.
Bad
E
times
chord.
all pass
Number 2.
with a wind. Your hand in
Here comes
mine
number 3 as a D.
stills the thunder, and you
E chord.
make the sun
Number 4 as an A.
again.
Lots of time to think.
I followed you down so many
A D chord.
roads, baby. While you picked wildflowers, I
Comes
sang
that
you
A phrase
soft,
again.
sad
Number 2.
songs.
Off the 5th fret.
And every road you took,
3rd line.
I know your search was for the truth.
As a D fill.
And the cloud that's doing now
Here comes the
won't
A.
last for long. Storms
Little cheat there.
never last,
The
do
fill.
they, baby?
To E.
Bad times all pass
An A fill.
with a wind. Your
another A.
hand in mine
The D fill.
stills the thunder, and you make the
Pretty
sun
but simple. That's what we're looking for.
shine again. Storms never last,
A fill is a D.
do they, baby? Bad times all pass
Here comes the A fill.
with a wind. Your hand in mine
The D fill.
stills the thunder, and you make
Tricky.
the sun
And the A fill.
and
The tag back to E.
you make the sun
A fill and ended.
shine again.
Fun stuff. This is a great little tune to try it with, too. A 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's expand our scale just a little bit more and learn to move left and right more lateral than we did vertical. We're thinking all of the G positions and some of the notes in the scale here now that are not actually G chords, and these are the ones that give most people the problem because they want to think just G position. Look at number 5, the primary phrase number 5, and notice how this thing goes. We start on G, the strings 5 and 6, and no pedals, and then squeeze the A pedal in, so it's, then we go up to that 6A spot, which is a sort of a cheater's G. It's just not all there. We're just playing 2 notes of a G major and sliding to 10 with no pedals, and that looks like a D to a lot of people. And true that is, it's a D note in the D chord form, but it's also part of G scale, that's all. And then it ends up with that last little squeeze. So this overall scale takes more left and right motion than anything. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Several ways you can do that. When you slide to 10, you can have the B pedal in or out because they're both right notes. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, cue up track number 1 again because that's our G-vamp track. And let's get used to the idea of how to phrase this thing. Again, it doesn't do any good to just play these things over and over and over again. You need to play the chord or the 2-measure rest between them. So we're going to start off with the G major pads first and then make ourselves recall how this phrase goes. Anybody can play the phrase over and over again and remember how it goes. It's when you take a little rest and let your mind get off of it for a second with the chord pads, and then you have to recall, how does this thing sound? What's it look like? How's it going to phrase? Here we go. Track number 1.
1, 2, 3,
the chord. Now phrase 5. Chord. The phrase. Chord. The phrase. Chord. And the phrase. Chord. And the phrase. Vibrato, every note. Every chord. Vibrato. Gotta be. The phrase, the chord, the phrase. That makes a pretty good little ending phrase. Every one of these phrases makes great ending phrases too, don't they? So they're good fills, but this gives you something that'll get you out of a tune on the end too. All you have to do is put the little button on it, we call it, or the little chord on the end, maybe just a D on the end, no pedals, and squeeze them in. And that's it. It makes a neat little phrase. One, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Look over in your book and find the phrase number 6. This is a little bit like the ones we've been doing. It just combines them in a different way. It starts up on 15 with that position up there and then slides back down through those first 2 scale notes that we learned in primary phrase number 1. It's just a different way of looking at it, isn't it? So here's number 6. Starts way up on 15. You could actually just step on the pedals. A lot of ways you could affect that. Have no pedals in and then squeeze, or have them in and let them off. And then down to 12 with no pedals and slide back to 10 with a pedal down. And then finally down to the strings 5 and 6 and squeeze in. Now, that's a little difficult to go because you've got to have both pedals down and then let the A pedal off. You might want to just squeeze into both of them. A and B there. It might be a little easier. Pretty good phrase, but technically with the feet you have to kind of swap them around a bit. So here's 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Or just have the pedals down. There's a lot of ways you might improvise over this. One, 2, 3, 4.
One, two, three, four.
All right, look up number 7. Let's take that little phrase. It's not any harder. It just takes some newer notes in the scale that we haven't seen before. It looks like some D chords and some C chords. Actually, it's just G scale patterns, and that's what we're trying to learn here, how they behave, how they sound, and how you can phrase them. So number 7 starts all on just strings 5 and 6, up on 10, starting with a G chord. That's true. Letting both pedals off makes a D chord sound, back to the 8th fret like a C. Sliding to a C down on 3 with both pedals down, and finally off. That scares a lot of people because they're actually D chords and C chords, but that's what the scale is made up of, the 1, 4, and the 5, or the G, C, and the D, and that's what we're seeing here. So the phrase goes like this: so 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. The coordination and the technique of getting the bar slides and in time is the hardest part. You can hear it's basically the same phrase we've been doing with all the others. Number 8 is an easy one because it sits in one spot. It's just on the G chord position on 10. But it had some odd sounds to it because it goes through the G major and then the G major 7th sound and then the G 6th sound. So we're starting up on 10 with both pedals down. Notice we're strings 5 and 6. 2 beats there so you can hear the chord. And then you let the B pedal off. Pretty sound. It makes a G major 7th. And then strings 5 and 7. And then 5 and 8. Pretty sound behind a straight G major chord, as you'll hear. And then finally squeeze back in to get that G on the end. So it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 2, 3, 4. Makes a nice little counterpoint melody that goes down as you hold the same note on the top. As a fill, this is magnificent because it's sort of a surprise. It's not the least bit hard to play because you're just sitting in one spot. But it's the phrase and the way it sounds, and it's quite a nice surprise. I've had a lot of singers almost forget the words when they hear that little major seventh sound come in there behind the regular major.
One, two, three, four.
Right there, right in time. So that could be an ending in itself. Very subtle because it goes down through that major seventh to the sixth. Great little lick. Give it a try. This little phrase shows us how we can use the second string as part of the scale. A lot of people play and they just never learn to play the second string as part of the scale at all. And it makes a beautiful little phrase. Of course, it'll work either way. This is a little descending scale lick. Starts way up on the 15, the G spot on 15. It'll end up down on 10 with the pedals down. But it starts with strings 4 and 6. And while that's ringing, just hit the second string against it. That makes a major seventh sound too. Kind of a nice effect like we did on the last one. And then the A pedal down, or A and B. Since you're not hitting a string that's affecting the B pedal, it won't hurt to go ahead and hit both pedals. Makes it easy. Strings 5 and 8. And then down to 10 with both pedals down. The B pedal won't hurt at all. So here's the whole phrase. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4. Or you could actually do this thing backwards. Makes a pretty good lick, but going either way. So let's play along with the rhythm track number 1, get the idea how this phrase is. We'll just play it the way it's written, not necessarily backwards. I might get real nasty and do it backwards. You can try it yourself. Here we go.
1,
Chords
2,
first.
3, 4.
This phrase goes right straight down the scale from 15 to 10, the old G scale that everybody plays in the old intros from the Ray Price records all the way up through to now. It starts up on 15 and it works from the 5th and 6th string, stepping on the pedals and get that little passing note there, and then back to 15 to 13, sliding to 10, and squeezing the A and B pedals in. So it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4. Now this is an interesting phrase in that the 5th and 6th string are really a duplicate of the 3rd and 5th, except that the harmony turns over. So any phrase that we've been playing on strings 5 and 6 could be playing on strings 3 and 5, but it'll sound a little funny because the melody has reversed itself. Again, here's number 10 the way it's written. But if we play the same exact phrase on strings 3 and 5, you get this. Pretty good phrase that way, isn't it? So either way you do it, you can use it on 5 and 6 or 3 and 5, depending upon the voicing you want to hear. One, 2, 3, 4.
One, 2, 3, 4.
Chord. The phrase. Pad. Chord. The phrase. Chord. Then on 3 and 5. Phrase. Go. Go. This is the point where you want to stop and try to recall all 10 of these phrases. Maybe the best way to do that is to take the blues Stay Away From Me track there, because all the fills are in exactly the same spot. The 10 phrases that we've learned here are good fundamentals, they're good basics, that's all. And you want to learn to recall these and make them part of your repertoire, obviously. And you don't want to have to be able to look at the tablature to find out what they were. You want to know how they sounded, how they'll go in. So take the blues Stay Away From Me track that gives you the G fill every time, and then see if you can practice each of the 10 fills. Maybe just use the fill all the way through, each one, all the way through for the fill for the tune. But then the ultimate goal is to get to where you can change the fill every time, and ultimately I would hope maybe you could get all 10 of these phrases in one form or another. Maybe not exactly. Possibly as you practice them, you're going to see something too. That as you try to recall each fill as it is, you're going to change the way it's phrased. And that's a good idea, because what you're finding is your own playing in this thing. And to copy the fill perfectly is not so bad, but it'd be a good idea to use the fill as a springboard, and that's all, and create a fill of your own. The main thing is to learn when to play the pads, and then learn to play the fill right on the first beat every time of the fill line. A lot of people wait for the second and the third beat, and that's what we're learning here, is to start the fill, even though the singer's still there, start the fill right on the first beat of that measure. So you're going to play 2 full measures, and then learn to recall a different fill every time. So this is quite a project on your part. You might just stop the video right along in here and really work on this part, because what you're after is the recall and learning the timing, and this is what it's all about, playing something very simple. And these fills aren't all that hard, but recalling a different phrase and putting them at exactly the right time is not that easy, and that's where a lot of players fall down. And they have just a very limited repertoire of things to recall from. They may have one or two licks, and maybe the licks they have are all on just one fret or so. These fills go all over, don't they? They're all up and down the fretboard, and you've learned the basic fundamentals of the scale and the scale patterns. So this is a good project to spend some time at. Try to get it where you can play Blues Stay Away From Me and play a different fill and play all 10 of these phrases, maybe one in a row, one after the other, and never repeat yourself. So this is the place to stop and get serious about your own playing. This is something I can't do for you. And the recall is different for everyone. You have to really work at learning to hear that phrase ahead of time and recalling a different one every time. So take a little time now, and it's your turn.
with the wind. Your hand in mine stills the thunder, and you make the sun shine again. I followed you down so many while you picked wildflowers, I sang you soft, sad songs. And every road you took, I know your search was for the truth. And the cloud that's brewing now won't last for long. Hey, baby, bad times
can't do much until we tune this guitar up. I'm using a chord tuner here. I've come straight out of my volume pedal instead of going to the amplifier and straight into the input of a chord tuner. Of course, they have Boss tuners. You need any tuner that has a meter like this so that when you hit the note, that you'll see the meter come up and you can tell exactly where you are off from zero. Now, I don't recommend digital tuners because they only tell you where zero is. And nobody can quite explain why we have to tune out of tune to be in tune, but it's true. Using the chart, here we go, well, let's tune it up, and if you don't have a tuner, just do it by ear. You'll get pretty close. You'll notice none of the notes are actually right on zero. Can't be on 440. Everybody else in the band can be, but you can't. It's because of the way strings behave and the way harmonics happen. A long explanation wouldn't make it work any better. So let's start with the 4th string because that's the E. And the 4th string ought to be a +9. I'm reading the top chart now using the cent scale. 9 cents sharp. Now, if it was a little flat, it'd look like that. So I'm going to bring it up. There's 0. There's 5 right there. And if I brought it up to +10, it would be that mark right there. So I want the 4th string E's to be sharp just a little. So I'm going to come back below 10, just a little like that. And you can use a harmonic. I'm just going to touch the string on 12 and pick it and let my finger up, and it makes it a little better note to tune to. So a harmonic sometimes a little more steady depending on the string. It works better on wound strings, the harmonics does. So the 4th string ought to be pretty close to that. And the 8th string is about the same thing, and I will use a harmonic. I'm just going to touch my finger to the 8th string and pick it with my right hand. It takes 2 hands to do that. And I'm going to make that a +9, just like that. If you can tune by ear, that's good, but that doesn't work very well. Tuners are better. And then we'll tune the 5th string, which is a B, and we'll tune it just a hair flat of B, and it'll be a +8. So if that's 10 right there, and if we bring it back and that's 5 right there, again, I'm reading the top chart, I can split the difference, and you can't get it perfect, but you can get pretty close. That's about +8 right there. And again, on the 5th string, a harmonic is much better. Touching that string. And bring it right up there. You have to kind of creep up on it, and it'll change too. The 10th string, B, ought to be about the same thing, and I'm going to use a harmonic there. Again, we're going to split the difference between 5 and 10, and that should be pretty close. Now let's go to the 3rd string and the 6th string, G sharp. And these are -4. They're way flat of G sharp, by the way. Odd how things work out. But if that's 0 right there, and this is -5, then we want -4. I'm going to make it just to the right of that. There we go, right there. That should be where the G sharps are. All right, the 6th string, the same way, and I'm going to use a harmonic, especially on the 6th string, because it kind of flaps around. It's a strange string. It's hard to get in tune. Watch. See how it wiggles all over the place if I just pick it? But if I use a harmonic and just barely touch that string on 12 and then pick my finger up, it settles down. Sometimes it'll move anyway. Okay, now the 1st string and the 7th string are F sharps, and they're a +6. So the 1st string is just a hair to the right of that 5 mark, right in there. Again, this is a little compromise. You can't get it perfect. The 7th string, the same way. I'm going to use a harmonic and bring it just to the right of that +5. And again, just getting in the ballpark is sometimes pretty good, depending on your tuner. Sometimes they don't tell you exactly what you want to know, but if you get in there somewhere, it'll work pretty well. The 2nd string is a D sharp, and it's a -4. So I'm going to get just to the right again of that 5 mark to the left of 0, or in that area. I'll be close enough. No more than I use the 2nd string. It's not going to matter anyway, is it? And then the 9th string D is a +6, so I'm going to use a harmonic because it's a wound string. Make it a +6. It's right on. It's just to the right of that 5 mark. Now, if you play strings 3, 4, and 5, it ought to sound like a real nice E major chord. Now, they're out of tune, literally, but they sound mighty good. Strings 4, 5, and 6. 5, 6, and 8. 6, 8, and 10. Nice, even major chord. And all the others, too. We'll come right back here and we'll tune up the pedals, but you've got to get the open tuning right first. As you'll notice down here on the end, these are what's going to tune the pedals. Obviously, there's all kinds of things. Maybe if you've never tuned the pedals to a guitar, there's things there that might scare you to death. All we remember is that the top row, there's a row here, and this whole row up here is the raises. So anything that raises, in other words, I know I've got a pedal. The A pedal raises the 5th and the 10th string. Well, you can see it's moving that 10th string down there, and then it's moving 2 up here. You can see both of them move. Well, the 5th pedal, the 5th string is moved by 2, actually. The A pedal moves the 5th string up and down, but the C pedal does too. And you can see how it's moving it 2 different ways. So the C pedal is moving strings 4 and 5. So you can tell which one is pulling what. The C pedal is pulling the top one right there, and obviously the A pedal is pulling the 5th string, but it's pulling both of those. So we're going to tune that one right there for the A pedal. And that's what we'll tune first. So since we know we're going to tune it, I'll go ahead and I'll just put the tuning wrench. I'll move the pedal so I know which one to put it on there. And I'll hit the 5th string. Make sure the 5th string's in tune, really well open. Now I'll push the A and B pedal down, get them both, because that's the position you'll play the A and the B most of the time, and it bends the guitar a little bit and it causes drop. So we tune the A pedal with both the A and the B pedal down. So just push them both down like you would be playing them. And you push, we want the 5th string with the A and the B pedal down to be a C sharp, and it'll be a -6. So there's the 5 right there. Again, I'll hit it. That's -5. I want it to be -6. So I'm going to unscrew it just a little. As you unscrew, it'll go down. So to screw it in raises it. And I'll go in and out. I'll hit it. Make sure, clear it good. Make sure it's not hanging up anywhere. And again, I'll check the open tuning. The B's ought to be about +6. In that area, +8. 6 to 8. I'll tune it up just a hair. Hard to get it right on because it'll jump around. Now with the A and B pedal down, I want see it's changed ever so slightly there. I don't want it quite that high. New guitars sometimes don't settle in real well either. You'll have to go through the process until you've played them a while. So, the 5th string, C sharp ought to be up about a -6, about like that. Now, I'll come down to the 10th string and I'll use a harmonic again there. Oh, it's pretty much right on. But if I wanted to tune it, I'd see which one it is. And I'd come down here and I'd move that A pedal to see which one it is and get it on there. And now I can tune it. It's a little high, so I'm going to take it back just a hair. A little low, I mean. It wasn't high, it was low. I wanted about a +6. All right, now I want to go to the B pedal, which raises the 3rd string and the 6th. If I hit the B pedal by itself, I can see that. So I'm going to come up here to where the 3rd string is, moving it. I'll put it right on there, and then I hit A and B pedal down. And the 3rd string ought to be a +4. Now that's a little high. So here I am on a back off of it just a hair. Pick it. A +4 on the 3rd string with the A and B pedal down. The 6th string the same way, and I'm going to use a harmonic. It's come down just a little bit, so I'll hit the B pedal and move it, find out which one it is. And I'll use a harmonic, and I'll make that string about a +4. Again, I keep checking the opens and make sure it hasn't drifted too far. And then go back and check my pedals. The 6th string about a +4 again. There we go. Keep in mind, if the open strings drift, so do the pedals. Okay, so we tune the 5th and the 10th, and then the 3rd and the 6th. Then we can go to the C pedal. Let's go to the F lever for right now because that's where we are. Let's see. The F lever is with the A pedal down and the F. So the F lever is the one that raises 4 and 8. So check, see which one is it that's raising 4 and 8. It's those two top ones right there. So we'll say 4 is that top one right there. So we'll usually play the F lever with the A pedal down because that makes a major chord. So with the A pedal down and the F lever in, that's one that's raising 4 and 8. The F lever ought to be about a -18. All right, I need to make it a little more. Right in that area, right there. Again, it's not a perfect science, it's close. So the 4th string with the F lever in is a -18. The 8th string should be the same. Pretty close, but if I wanted to tune it, I'd move it, and I'd see which one it was, and I'd keep moving it, and stick it on there, and then I'd adjust that string just like that, in and out. If I turn to the right, it raises it. If I turn to the left, it lowers it. Okay, let's do the D lever, since that's the one we use a lot too. It lowers the 4th and the 8th string. And you notice now, when I hit that, you'll see the bottom ones. This bottom row, this is all the lowers. This up here was the raises. These are the lowers. Everything I've tuned so far has been up here because it was the raises. All this bottom row, this is called a triple raise because there's 3 raises. If you look at the fingers in there, 3 raises, 3 places to raise, and there's 3 places to lower. So the D lever is lowering 4 and 8. So I'm sorry, that's the D lever, the wrong one. Lowering 4 and 8. So here we go. The 4th string should be, with the D lever in all by itself, about a +2. That's about where it is. Now, if I wanted to raise it, I'd take it to the right. No, that would lower it more, sorry. To the right lowers more, to the left lets it come back up. So I'm going to make it a +2. Again, I'm going to check my open tuning. Make sure it's about that +9, and it'll drift a little. Now I'm going to make this about a +2. And I keep checking it in and out. Let it up. Check it. Put it back in. Again, with new guitars, they don't always work perfectly. They need to loosen up a little. So that's about a +4. +2, sorry. Just a hair to the right of 442. The 8th string the same way. Again, I wiggle it and I stick it on there. I want it about a +2. I'm using a harmonic again. Check the open tuning. It's drifted just a hair. Open is +9. Now with it in. And you see how much off it is. There we go. Now, with the A and B pedals down, I should have a nice major chord. On strings 3, 4, 5, and 6, and 8, and 10. With the A and the F lever, same thing, a nice major chord. A and F, the A pedal and the F lever. 3, 4, 5, and 6, 8, and 10. With the D lever in, I ought to get a nice major chord by going 4, 5, and 7, and 8. 4, 5, 7, and 8. With the D lever in. Maybe the 10th string. It's a beautiful sound.